And now, coming to you from the Pensado Media Center, powered by Westlake Pro.
Our guest is the epitome of classic and contemporary, an absolute legend, and he brought a couple of very special friends with him. You will dig this. 2 more winners of Pro Tools 12, grand prize just 1 week away. The Master Blaster Skypes ITL, Hark How the Bells, Sweet Silver Bells. You're at the place, the holiday place. It's Pensado's place.
I gotta applaud that. Holiday festive special today,
Hey
right,
man,
Herbert?
2 more and then we're out for the year. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was good.
How are you?
Great. Can you sing that again?
Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all here to say, throw cares away, ding
Patty's
dong,
got 5 harmonies
ding.
ready to go.
Well, Patty and I sing together. We're going to do that during the show. So
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. It's
they're
this
like,
is,
Patty who? We don't know who.
this is gonna be a surprise. My new best friend, by the way.
Yeah, hard not to be best friends with her and him.
You want to get into the spirit of things? You want to take over here?
Would you like me to? I think that was a punt to me to do that. Is that what that is?
I could start singing.
No, why don't I go from here? How about that? Hey, gang, a great big ho, ho, ho to you. That's the Christmas ho, not the hip-hop ho. Don't go there. After you spend the time with us, make sure you spend time with your family. Decompress. It's good for your creativity. It's good for your soul. Our partners, they're good for your pocketbook. They are Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio-Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, Avid, Fab Factory, Recording Connection, Studio 202 DC, and now that is a great, august place to go get Christmas gifts. Think about that. Put that together, right? As for gifts, Dave and I want to take a quick moment to thank you for the gift of you. Your support, your loyalty, you have built one hell of a community. You are a bunch of absolute badasses. And from the show to our events to Dave's mixes, you never ever let us down. So for 2016, we're going to take this love thing we got to the next level. Stay tuned, strap in. We got big things in store. We're indebted to you, and you know how Pensado does. We return the favor big time, right?
No, absolutely.
We got good stuff planned?
We do.
We can't really talk about it yet, but...
Oh yeah, we can hint at it.
Okay, you can hint at it. Go ahead.
Well, my buddy Herb is just wouldn't be happy if he didn't top himself. So you know what we did in the past. It's going to be better. You can bank on that. I always do. I have for 30 years. And
so far, so good, right?
So far, so great.
Yeah. That's true.
I think I'm high on eggnog.
Really? Considering that there's nothing in your cup, that's a magical trick. Look at that. Wow. So Christmas and magic.
I can dream, can I?
That's part of what we're going to do in 2016. We're going to start doing magic and stuff like that. But to echo Dave's point, we have 2 more shows. We've had one heck of a year. We can't do it without you. We don't intend to do it without you. And in the way we think about things, you give us gifts, we give them back. And he's right. Like, we like to top ourselves. We like to be outliers. And we really do it because of you. So stay tuned. It's going to be...
the reason I didn't want to get specific was because we've got some options that if they do come true, which I think they will. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, they're coming true.
Yeah.
Yes, they're coming true.
It's going to be a fun year for all of us. It's going to really be a lot of fun.
We're taking you with us.
Literally.
literally taking you with us. Our Pro Tools 12 contest just about to wrap up. 2 more winners this week, and then the grand prize. Guess what the grand prize is?
Oh my goodness.
It's this pretty thing right here. The Apogee Quartet's going to somebody. Ooh, knobs. You know how you are about knobs.
Ooh.
Show them. You guys can interpret this any way you want. I'm going to leave him alone with this.
Well, all engineers know that knobs are everything. Those little, like these little candy-ass knobs back here, no.
No. but a big
That
knob,
is a knob.
right? And show them how you turn your knobs. No, only you can see that. Show the camera. Here.
No, hold on.
Okay. No, okay. Cool.
All kidding aside, when you drive a car, there's a tactile feel that's just, I'm being serious, man, don't look at me like that.
That's true.
And when you touch a piece of audio gear, and the way it feels determines how you react with it, and that reaction is how your creativity is manifest through that piece of gear.
Okay.
So it's a serious concept, you'll get it.
Okay, so is that your reaction to the tactile sense right there?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Probably didn't know it did that, did you?
I did not. This is sort of bordering towards some sort of audio-sexual thing. Should we bring it back? Like bring it back?
What song is that?
It's Dave's freaky song. Okay, give me this. You can win that, and we will announce that next week.
There goes our partnership with Avid.
Why don't we get these winners for this week from the host of Corner Office? He's the hairy, healthy Hungarian who goes by the name of... Yes. Chong. We got a bunch of folks in the house, right?
Oh my God, we got folks in the house from Columbia, BFM,
Yep.
Urban Buzz Trade. It's so many great people here.
Absolutely. And you've got winners for us?
We got some great winners.
Who do you have?
The first one is Alexander Ferguson, and the second one, I'm sorry if I butcher this, Lazar Bozanovsky.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, you're Hungarian. You're supposed to get that stuff right, which is why this week I didn't have Dave do it. I looked at the winners, went, nah, let's have you suffer that. So, with all those folks that are in the house, let's give our winners a round of applause, please. Great. So you guys have got 2 copies of Pro Tools 12 heading your way. You're also now a potential winner of that Apogee Quartet. That will be announced in next week's show. It's good stuff. And then also, you had a conversation with Tony Cariddi, right?
Yeah, Tony's going to bring us up to date on some real cool stuff.
So that'll be this week's ITL.
Yeah.
You want to and the conversation, what's it gonna cover?
Well, a way to save you some money, some of the features that are going to be important to you next year and this year, and just good stuff.
Cool.
You know, Avid is underrated sometimes at how many new features they add each time they get a new point 1, point 2, point 3.
Gotcha.
And this is a good one.
So let's roll the ITL.
Hey, I asked Tony Cariddi to drop by and share some information with us. Tony, you there?
Yeah, hey Dave, thanks for having me. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. What's your official title? You're marketing owner?
Marketing director for the audio business. Yeah, so includes the Pro Tools line and also the Live Sound line and also the Sibelius notation line.
Wow. And you're also the major stockholder, right?
Okay.
Man, with all those titles and responsibilities, do you ever have time to record anymore? I see you're at your studio. That's pretty cool.
I try, I always do it. That's what got me into this business from the beginning was, just a passion and affinity for this stuff. So I'm a guitar player and I fancy myself a writer. Oh. And I try to keep active and do stuff here.
You know what, Tony? I know a lot of the people at Avid, and an overwhelming majority of you guys are musicians and actually use the product. And I think that's one of the reasons why it works so well for us all. So hello to everybody up there, down there, wherever you guys are now. I lose track of you sometimes. I got a bone to pick with you, Antonio.
Shoot.
Well, I noticed today that a product was released yesterday, and I didn't know anything about it. I mean, how can I stay on the forefront and cutting edge of technology when I'm using a 0.1 older product?
It's very, very easy. So, we. I'm sorry that you didn't know. I hope you're joking.
Okay.
We announced Pro Tools 12.4 yesterday. We typically try to get the word out on as many streams as possible. We do email. We do. Social media, and actually, if you're on Pro Tools 12 today, you're also getting all this information right within the app in something called App Manager. So you'll get an alert right within the application saying, hey, there's a new download for you. Do you want to accept it? Because as you know, with Pro Tools 12, instead of releasing an upgrade that you would have to kind of buy separately as a separate product, we're introducing and making these upgrades available through these annual upgrade plans. So if you have an upgrade plan that's active, it'll just say, hey, there's an update. Do you want to get it? Much like if you have Microsoft Office or if you have an iPhone or something, it says, oh, you got a bunch of updates. Do you want to just download them? It's a similar experience.
Too cool, man. Hey, did I read about an upgrade in commitment and freeze? Can you explain if that?
Yeah,
if
that was the big announcement from yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Pro Tools 12.4 includes the freeze track functionality, which is really nice, and it's slightly different than what we announced with the previous release with 12.3, which included something called commit and track commit and track bounce, which were slightly different workflows. So this freeze functionality builds upon that, and kind of depending on what you're trying to do, it makes it a lot kind of quicker to get through. So, there has been some question, well, what's the difference between commit and freeze? And I think it's an important, there are some important distinctions. So for instance, if you are working with somebody else and you need to, make tracks, or you want to share tracks with somebody, or you want to just save tracks for posterity, right? And you want to print everything or deliver a bunch of stems or something like that, you would typically use the commit functionality, because that is going to keep your existing work, give you the option of printing all of your tracks with plugins, with or without automation, and let you kind of have those as deliverables. Now with freeze, it's more likely you're going to use that function if you're trying to save some CPU overhead. You want to take some of the resources away and just kind of freeze those in place, so it doesn't create a new track, it doesn't hide the old one, it doesn't kind of do, it's a little bit less disruptive. You just hit a button, a little snowflake button, and it just freezes the track in place, offloads, you get all that power back from your CPU. And then if you ever want to go back and go, you know what, I crunched that too much, there's too much compression, and I want to tweak one of the settings or something, I can just toggle the freeze button, unfreeze it, make that change, and then freeze it again.
Gotcha.
So the use cases are slightly different.
Well, that's pretty cool. A non sequitur, do you think we'll ever be able to do freeze or commit with outboard gear, or is that just a technological impossibility?
No, it's not impossible at all. It just means that with outboard gear, you're doing it in real time. Right. And one of the benefits of the freeze and the commit workflows and offline bounce is that it just happens in a snap, and that it saves a lot of time. But no, it's perfectly possible to do this.
Well, yeah, I guess I phrased the question wrong. I meant, could you actually do freeze, commit, and offline bouncing, not in real time, but really quick with outboard gear?
Well, we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has.
Yeah, I think the nature of the analog gear may prevent that.
Yeah, I just don't see how it could be done unless there was an algorithm that would allow you to do it at 10 times the normal speed and then reduce it back to normal speed without losing anything. That'd be an amazing algorithm. Anyway.
Yeah, even so, think about a compressor that's all time-based with attack times and release times. That would have to
Yeah, you'd have to, no, I guess you're right.
You wouldn't be able to.
Hey, man, you and I were talking earlier. You had some important information to share with our audience about some time-sensitive deals that were going to evaporate at the end of the year. Can you explain that to the guys?
Yeah. So we, about a little over a year ago, we announced that we're going to be delivering all the software upgrades in a different way, like I said earlier, that instead of buying just an upgrade, and that upgrade cycle for us, historically, it's anywhere between 1 and 2 years. And that upgrade would usually include a lot of different features built in it. But the customers, the market would have to wait a long time because it would take us a long time to kind of package all of these things together. What's different about the way with Pro Tools 12 and the way we're doing things moving forward, and this goes with Media Composer and Sibelius as well, is that the upgrades are going to be coming in much smaller little smaller packages. instead of these giant explosive, like giant nuclear launches, there'll be, smaller releases that'll happen much more frequently. And part of that is instead of selling them as independent little upgrades, which would drive everybody crazy to have to, pony up a few bucks every few months, is to say, you buy the upgrades for a year, we sell them for a year, and so you get this and you get all these upgrades for an entire year, which is great too, because consider all those guys who are getting into a system for the first time. How many people out there have bought into Pro Tools or any other software product for that matter, and then like a month or two later, there's a major upgrade released, and they're going, what? I don't get the latest version. I got to pay for that. That's not fair. Right. Well, that goes away, because when you buy a new system today or buy new software, you're getting the upgrades included for the next 12 months. So whether you're buying a new system or you're just buying upgrades for an existing system, that's the way they're being offered in like 1 year, as like a 1 year service that we're giving to you. You get all those upgrades for that time period. So what's changing at the end of the year is that the window to get into an upgrade plan at the $99 price and the $199 price, depending on what version you have, is closing. And that window has been open for, will have been open for roughly 15 months. And at the end of the year, you're still going to be able to get on, upgrade at a later point if you want. It's just that where the price point goes up. So today, if you have Pro Tools 11, for only $99, you can get onto Pro Tools 12, and you get Pro Tools 12.4 and the next upgrade for the next 12 months, right? If you wait till January 1st or whenever, a year later, your price is going to be $299. So we just want to make sure nobody loses. Everybody know, as many people know as possible, so they don't miss that opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, that's a significant savings.
It's a big jump. And then for HD customers, there's the same deadline. HD customers to get on the upgrade from 9, 10, or 11 to Pro Tools 12 is $599 for the first year. The renewals go down to $399 a year after that. And then, same thing. They get the latest version. They get the next 12 months included. And then at the end of the year, if they're interested in keeping the software updated, it's only $399 for the next 12 months.
This is all on the website, right? Avid.com?
Yeah, it's all on the website.
Okay.
And hopefully it's in your email inboxes if you're an owner. Okay. We've got links on Facebook as well and Twitter, so it shouldn't be hard to find.
Well, man, thanks for coming out and sharing that with us.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks so much for coming by.
My
also, if you don't mind me plugging this, there's if you want to, I know you're gonna check out Freeze and you're gonna check out Commit, but before you get Dave's illustrious rundown of it, if you wanted to check out ours, Tom Graham and Gil Gowing at Avid, they did a really nice workflow video you can find on YouTube. Yeah. So if you search Avid Pro Tools 12.4, you can check out what's in store, what's available for Commit and what's coming up just in the next couple weeks for Track Freeze.
I agree. All I'm going to do is go copy them anyway, so might as well watch theirs now. Anything, Tony, that you can share with us about some new things coming along, some things that, not exact things, but where do you see Pro Tools going to sum all this up? It seems like every few months it's just a new great feature that I've been waiting for. Are there some things?
Well, that's good news. I mean, we're trying. We're constantly trying to make sure we're listening to customers, listening to you, of course, and making those things happen. It's pretty, we've been really vocal about what we're doing, what our plans are for collaboration. I'll tell you, I got a little overview today of where we are in the development, and I don't remember being ever so excited about a release. I cannot wait for this Avid Cloud Collaboration thing to hit the market, because people are just, you don't realize how cool it is. I mean, I've been looking forward to it regardless, but seeing the implementation of this has got me really amped, and I know customers are going to be really excited too. So, the next major thing we'll see after Freeze Track, and that's again in the next couple of weeks, we'll see the Avid Cloud Collaboration that we've been, talking about for some time now.
Okay.
So that's the next major thing, and I think it's going to blow your socks off, man. It's really, really cool.
I need my socks blown off. Anthony, man, thanks for again for coming out and letting us know about these things. And guys, go to the website. I spend a lot of time on the Avid website. There's some great tutorials. There's all kinds of information, not just update information, but a lot of smart people, smarter than me, are on that website teaching you and showing you how to do things. And check it out. You'll be glad you did. Tony, arrivederci.
Hey, thanks so much, man. Great seeing you, Dave.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What makes a legend? Please consider this. 2 Grammys for jazz arrangements, 23 Emmy nominations and 4 wins for television music, an Oscar nomination for film composition, musical conductor, which specifically means musical director and arranger for both Frank Sinatra duet records, has written and worked with the Boston Pops, London's Royal Philharmonic, an in-demand educational leader at places like Yale, Berkeley, USC, and the recipient recently of 2, recently as in being last week, of 2 Grammy nominations for an amazing new project called Home Sweet Home. Please welcome to our desk an absolute American legend, the one, the only, Patrick Williams.
Wow.
Pretty good, right?
Wow.
I work for
I
Pat.
should take you on the road.
I'm going on the road with you, brother. Go ahead, DP, let's fire up.
Pat, first of all, man, thanks for hanging out and coming over
pleasure.
today. I'm such a big fan, and so many of us stand on your shoulders. You're blessed with so many gifts and talents and working in so many types of music. Is there one area of music that you find more comfortable and a natural fit more than the others, or just you enjoy the challenges of new things?
I always feel like it's like children, you know? You love him for different reasons.
Gotcha.
And, you know, standing in front of an orchestra like the Royal Philharmonic or something like that it's an indescribable feeling.
Yeah.
And standing in front of an 18-piece big band at the level that we have here, you can't put it into words.
Have you ever stood in front of an orchestra and intentionally got them to screw up, like by conducting them to do something wrong? And see how many people followed you?
That's in the works.
I don't think so.
We're planning that.
Try that for me and let me know. That'd be funny, like having been all looking at each other, like you screwed up. No, you screwed up. You followed them. Why did you? So, your path from Missouri to Duke, I guess that would be one big leap. And then, can you take me on that journey and describe how you went from a kid in Missouri to everything Herb read about?
Where did the music come in during that journey?
The
As a
music,
kid?
well, yeah, oh yeah. I think most professionals you'll talk to start it very early on.
Yeah, I agree.
You kind of know, you know. I mean, when I was in rhythm band, what's that, kindergarten? And everybody gets a little something to beat on, and I could actually do something in time, and they paid attention to me because I, wow. So
Then you took the wooden blocks and started conducting.
yeah, I mean, initially it's an attention. You get attention
That's right.
for stuff.
That's right.
And when I was in 4th grade, I played the clarinet, I played the trumpet, I played the drums. And, you
By
know,
the 4th grade?
By the 4th, yeah. I mean, it was just something that started to be, you know, my mother tells a story that, you know, was really terrific because when Pat was in the crib, we never had to call a babysitter because he just listened to records with the Victrola all day long.
I'll be darned.
And she means it. You know, they put a Victrola in there, you know, the wind-up thing.
Yeah.
This was in the early 40s.
And that kept you occupied.
And it kept me occupied. My father had these 78s of all the big bands. So I'd listen to Duke Ellington, you know, Basie, all of that stuff when I was just really little.
That's amazing.
And so you really grow up with it, you know, you really do.
Carried it all the way through school up to Duke.
Yeah,
and then
Duke, as a matter of fact, had a band. I had a big band. For 2 years, I led the band.
Was that the Duke Ambassadors?
The Duke Ambassadors, 18-piece band with a long tradition at Duke, started by Les Brown.
Wow.
And yeah, and so I was there playing the jazz trumpet. And the band actually got recorded, and I got my first job in New York because this fellow had heard my band.
Wow.
Heard the Duke band, so it kind of led into the New York studios.
And back during that time period, even currently, there comes that inflection point where it's, what city do I move to pursue my career, right? New York was your choice?
New York, well, because I was in the East Coast.
Yeah.
I was, you know, in the Connecticut, suburban New York area. I knew the area. And, you know, when I got an opportunity to work in a small music production firm with a very talented guy who liked me, who recorded my college band. And he hired me to come. He said, when you get out of school, I want you to go to work for me. I'm starting my own little music production company.
Amazing.
And I said, gee, that'd be great. Doing what? He said, we'll work on that.
Just leap of faith and go with it.
So I wasn't really writing that much.
Really?
And the first 2 or 3 months, I went to a few of the dates and stuff. He was doing commercials. And we went to a date, and the didn't go well. And on the cab coming back to the office, he said, you know, the arranger just totally screwed that up. He didn't do what I asked him to do. And, you know, he really messed this thing up. And he said, so what did you think? I said, I didn't really think it was that good. And he said, do you think you can do better? And I said, I think it could do better than that. Yeah. And so he said, okay, yeah, you do the next one. So the first thing I ever wrote for the New York studios was a documentary about, I think it was 4 or 5 minutes long, about the Westinghouse. It was called Solar Pump.
I'll be darned.
And I picked this little effete ensemble. I remember it was a violin, a harp, a French horn, a clarinet. I don't know, it was like a little chamber thing. And I had all my orchestration books out for 3 nights in a row trying to figure all this out. And fortunately, it went well.
Wow.
And then I started to write everything he did. So we were in the studio 2 times, 3 times a week, doing a lot of jingles. And then I started working for singers. But, you know, it was a wonderful way to learn because you learn by hearing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so you try things, you hear they don't work, they do work. And the players were so good that, you know, I mean, they just look at you, don't worry about it. You know, we'll make it work. You know?
Is orchestration the foundation upon which big band music resides? In other words, I'm trying to get at if the majority of our audience isn't familiar with big band music, and they should be because of what?
Well, it's American music. Yeah. I mean, this is an American art form, you know, all the way back to the 20s, really. And then the band evolves from 3 saxophones to 4, then to 5, and all of that. And Lunsford came along with 5 saxophones, Duke Ellington, and the whole thing is an American story. And the interesting thing to me is it's been so popular all over the world, and here in this country, it kind of was a stepchild almost.
Yeah.
But the big band itself, if you think about it, there's 17, 18 players. The instrumentation is essentially the same. 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 reeds, 4 rhythm. And yet how different they all were. I mean, a Duke Ellington play, you know, that's Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
And the same instrumentation, you'd say, oh God, that's bassy. But the same instrumentation, you think about how is that possible? You take the same instrument, 4 trumpets, 4 that, and it sounds totally different.
Completely different.
And all the bands had a personality.
There's a distinction in that world between writing and arranging. So you write the song, and then once the song is written, you decide how the various instruments play that song, and break down for me what do you try to get the trumpets to do? What do you try to get the trombones to do? It seems like the trombones have my favorite part in all the process, and then the rhythm instruments. Can you break that down for me? Because you said orchestration, you went to the books to learn how to do that, so there must be a starting point.
Depends on the song. Correct?
Sure. I mean, I've always looked at arranging as you're telling a story. You know, so what's the story? And it really has to do with a kind of an overview. You know, the last thing you want to do is what I used to call kitchen sink arrangements. You know, you start too loud, and then it gets where you're going to go, and then why, and then it's too, you know, and so you have to have a kind of a plan, theatrically. What are you trying to accomplish theatrically, not just musically? And then you can pick the sounds you want, like, you know, the 4 trombones if you want that sound, or the 5 saxophones, or woodwinds, or whatever. But all of that should be done in the way that you're trying to tell a story and paint a picture.
And then, so from that perspective, is there a different sort of application of your skills to something you've written as opposed to something that somebody hands to you, or is it the same sort of set of skills?
Well, it's interesting because if somebody hands you a tune and says, I'd like you to write an arrangement of this, and that's happened to me thousands of times,
Yes.
you still want to think about what kind of singer are you, what's going to work, what's the approach, how do we want to make this thing work for everybody involved, because the arranger is really an accommodator. You have to make this work. So sometimes when I write the material myself, so I've got my own tune rather than Irving Berlin or Cole Porter or whoever it is.
Right.
And I look at the tune and now I'm going to arrange it. And I've had this experience many times where I'll look at it and I say, God, who wrote this crap? And it was me.
Right.
Because I've got to deal with it now as an arranger.
Yeah, it's
it's
facing
a
you
different
now.
process,
Yeah. Do you ever give your songs to other people to arrange?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's happened a few times, but mostly I arrange them because they're mostly instrumental, except and Patty's here. That makes a
Absolutely.
big difference.
That makes a big difference. I can't wait to talk about that.
You mentioned like groups of four with the trumpets, with the trombones and the saxes. Do you try and keep the trumpets together and have them form a chord, or do you have like two of the trumpets and two of the saxophones form a chord, or do you not worry so much about chordal elements, but have them all embellish a melody, kind of more classical style? How do you approach that?
Well, there's all of the above. The last thing you want to do is be locked into some kind of formula.
Yeah.
So it's all about. Sometimes I've used French horns a lot, for example, with a big band. From the time I started in New York, I had 3 big band albums I did in the 60s for Verve Records that had no woodwinds. It was 4 French horns and a tuba instead of the saxophones. And so that was, I loved working with that. The sonorities of all that brass was just really great. Yeah. And we would do things like I'd have flugelhorns playing low and trombones playing high, and they'd play unisons and all that. And we got a lot of wonderful colors out of that instrumentation by doing kind of what you're suggesting, by splitting things up.
That's cool.
Do you find that because you've seen such evolution in the music space, both good and bad, I would imagine, we all have, right? Been around for a minute. Have you had to sort of process how to use technology to assist you but not get in the way of the process? Because there's so much that comes at you. Has that been a...
Absolutely. I mean, I was able to work 20 years longer than I should have because I was willing to go through the discomfort of adapting. I mean, it is uncomfortable when you're a professional. And, I was used to working in a certain way in movies. And then everything started to change. And if you didn't have a home studio, and if you didn't have the gear, and if you didn't have the Pro Tools, and if you didn't have the computer samples and all that, you weren't going to work.
Right.
Primarily because they wanted demos of everything that you were going to do, even if it was orchestral. They wanted to hear it first. And for 30 years prior to that, there was very little temp music, what we call temp music in a movie.
Right.
Maybe 1 or 2 cues. Now, any composer doing whatever movies will tell you that pretty much when you hire a composer, they have temped the entire film.
The whole
The
project.
whole
I've
film.
seen that. Yeah.
And you sit down, and this director has heard this music hundreds of times.
Yeah.
So he or she has no perspective on that, you know.
Right.
And it just becomes like they fall in love with the temp music, and now you're there to kind of execute the temp without totally ripping it off so that you don't get sued.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a game of how close you can, because if you do something too far away from it, the director or the powers that be will become uncomfortable.
That's right.
Just because they're not used to hearing it.
And you have to do all that under the gun, under pressure,
Oh, yeah.
time. It's
Absolutely.
Because television and film in particular have just tons of time pressure and a lot of committee.
That's one of the reasons it started to really drive me, the committees.
Yeah, too many people. There's a point where as people begin to discover you, and the projects start to get bigger in terms of heft and responsibilities,
Yeah.
and you start dealing with bigger names, you have to learn how to deal with bigger names. They come with
Yeah.
added weight and baggage, correct?
Correct.
So with your history, I mean, take us through getting into the Frank Sinatra world and conducting those things.
You got a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I can only imagine. I've had a few of these stories off camera, so amazing.
That was
right?
an amazing experience.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I could ask Al Schmidt, you know, I'm sure he'd tell you the same thing. It was an amazing experience. I was as responsible as musical director of this project. Phil Ramone was one of the producers. I've known Phil my whole life.
Amazing.
And so they wanted me to hear what Frank was singing at that point in his career, because he was 77 or something like that.
Yeah.
He'd have his good nights, not so good nights. So I went to Vegas. I went to that casino that's in Connecticut
Oh, yeah.
to see what he did in his act, how he was doing it. And he was, you know, if he was on, he sounded great. He had a little trouble with the teleprompter sometimes, you know. But, you know, just being in the aura and the whole thing about that was, you know. So we picked 35 tunes. And I rehearsed 35 songs before he ever showed up. Because I told Phil, you know, we agreed, there's not going to be any rehearsing here. This is going to be like a concert. He walks in and we just take care of it.
Downbeat and go.
We go. And so for 2.5 days, I rehearsed all these charts, you know, the famous arrangements. Nelson Riddle, Billy May,
Wow.
all that.
Wow.
And the band was great. And he walked in, I don't know, the third or fourth night that he was ready. He came in and we got everybody sitting there. He liked to record from 6 to 9 at Capitol. And he came in and he walks over to the podium and he comes up and he said, "I got no reed." I said, "What?" He said, "I got no reed. I got."
Wow.
He had a cough or cold, you know. So I said, "Gee, that's too bad." So, and he left. So now, 2 days later, he comes back and he's got his voice back. And now we've had 3 days of rehearsal, recording rehearsal.
Wow.
We've had one night where he couldn't sing. And I figure we're almost 300,000 in.
Right.
And he hasn't sung anything yet.
Goodness
So
gracious.
we have some rather anxious people in the booth.
To say the least.
And he walked in and he's ready to go. He looked great. And Phil Ramone had this booth built especially for Sinatra. And it was like a living room. They put it in the middle of Capital A. And they had a chair, they had a couch, they had hanging a mic, you know, make him comfortable. He looked in this booth. He looked in there, and I was standing right at the door to the booth with Bill Miller, his piano player. And he looked in, and he didn't even go in. He just looked in, and he said, "I'm not singing in there. I'm going to sing out in the room with the band."
Ooh. Wow.
The problem was that nobody thought, what if he doesn't like the booth? So the booth cost $35,000.
Ooh. Gotcha.
So he was sitting on a riser next to one of the trumpet players while they tried to figure, these two young kind of technique guys, trying to figure out where to hang a mic for Frank to sing.
Wow.
And I'm watching them, and they were like, "Well, I don't know, maybe we could do this." And we got 65 people sitting there and all of that, and
Money's
he's sitting
going
on a
out the door.
riser.
Unbelievable.
And I'm thinking, now I'm going to give this about 15 more seconds.
We're going to change this. Yeah.
And he got up and he just walked out.
Ooh.
And his manager's, you know, going, "Oh, Frank, come back." "Nah, forget this." Yeah. So now, where are we? Well, guess we
about
had this.
400 grand in at this
at
point in
least.
time, yeah.
And we had this meeting at Capitol. I'll never forget the answering machine.
Yeah.
You know, I had this when I got home that night. This voice. It sounded like the voice of doom. I mean, this guy's, "Be at Capitol at 3:00 tomorrow afternoon." Okay. So we had this big meeting, and Schmidt found a microphone that he could hold that wouldn't leak. Because if we were going to do all these, I had to rearrange a lot of stuff. If there was any leakage, the Duets' whole idea was gone.
Right.
So we had to have clean vocals on Sinatra.
Wow.
And this microphone was amazing. I mean, he was singing in it this way, and we didn't get any leakage. They had a little gobo around him, but
Sure.
you know, it was really Al made the day there. He saved the day. So he came in and he was ready to go. To make a long story short, he came in, he felt good. We recorded 6-7 tunes the first night in 3 hours.
Jesus.
He was singing, he was, let's go, you know? And he was having a good time. And the feeling I had that night was overwhelming. I mean, I got my headphones on, I'm, you know, and he's, I've got you, you know, and I'm looking at him, this is surreal.
Unbelievable.
I look up and there he is.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I remember I was soaking wet. I mean, when I went to get the first 10, I went to get some water.
Sure. Sweating.
I looked like I jumped in a swimming pool. I mean, I was just absolutely
So much the
soaking.
pressure was.
Well,
that
it was
high.
just the excitement, the
Yeah.
pressure, whatever you call it.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, at that point, I was not that young, really. And I'd been through a lot, but somehow or another.
You did 2 records with Frank.
Well, we wound up getting enough vocals. They were hoping to get 12, 15 songs. He sang 6, 7, you know, we wound up getting something like 32 songs where he sang a vocal from beginning to end.
Wow.
So they had enough for
amazing.
2.
Yeah, that's how it came about.
Yeah, because,
Did you ask for a raise?
no. I did.
Whoever was on that,
I know
whoever was on that answer machine should have paid you double.
Yeah.
I know a consultant you can call.
No,
We'll work it out the next time. Yeah, we'll
but
work
the
out that.
post-production on this record took months.
I bet.
Because I rearranged things, we get the orchestra back, we get different duet partners, I did demos. I remember I wrote an arrangement of I've Got a Crush on You for Barbara Streisand and Sinatra. And Barbara wanted demos. So I brought in 2 singers and did the demo with the samples. Well, 5 demos later, Barbara seemed okay, you know?
5 demos
But
later.
yeah, I mean, it was a little of this, a little of that. And so each song was a kind of mini production of its own. It took months.
Wow.
And by the end of the time, I mean, Phil was heroic, Ramon. He really was. I mean, he somehow he kept this thing together. And we wound up, it came out, sold quite a few million.
Did really well.
Rejuvenated his entire catalog.
Absolutely.
I got a beautiful picture with the 2 of us that he signed. It's up above my piano. All's well that ends well.
Amazing.